What in terms of kanang succession planning? Like, let's say you have a business set na, or if you're similar in my paradigm na nanay structure, nanay corporate setup, okay ra ka like dili appeal imong kid or do you think
like if I were in your shoes?
yeah, if you're in
and
my
then,
shoes?
I think I would have a similar answer as said to you in a way nga I would value what their choices are, but also make them know the importance of the value of money in terms of them having to pay their own bills and not be dependent.
Yeah.
But that aside, I think I would hope for, above all, is that they would be believers or kanang they would have the fear of the Lord, or yeah, that spiritual aspect bitaw na they would I think it deviates from your question a bit, but they would see the spiritual as having a bigger impact than the physical. So para nako secondary na if they were to take over or not. But if I were to have a choice, if their choice was not part of the equation, then yeah, they would have to take over.
Yeah, I think discernment is key to that. Because I also look at many family corporations like Ayala. May man pagkaplano because succession planning, they have that family constitution and so forth. So it can work even if some members aren't necessarily fully involved with the business. So I think masturyaan na jud na, or that can be put on paper and discussed as a family.
Yeah, but so like there are families that look at the corporation as this sort of god that has to be preserved among
there could
generations.
be some areas where it's already toxic in a way na they sobraan rasad ba na family ra tanan niya. Everyone has to fulfill certain roles, even forced to doing things that they're not really inclined to. So there are dangers like that na kanang iduso, di ba, or i-impose.
Yeah.
Even if di jud na mao iyahang calling or he wants to do other things. Yeah.
But maybe it's easy for me to say because I didn't grow up with having that big corporation, that type of family. So yeah, as much as I want to value the hard work that people put into building up these corporations, I would rather have it secondary than to her like spiritual walk.
Yeah, but I think it's dependent on one's journey if unsa jud iyahang leading ba. Because if I think about it, let's say like example Ayala or SM, of course that took a lot of generations and a lot of effort was put into that, and it's set properly, it grew. And let's say you're this anak na also in your zone na you want to venture in your own field, but this is already there.
Yeah.
And who's gonna take over? So may mga ingana bitaw na areas where you have to you can't be fully selfish pud ba na you just do your thing and not at least hear this one out.
Yeah, I think that's the Eastern and the Western difference. Like in Eastern, it's all about building legacies, kanang succession planning and all those types. Whereas sa Western, it's more of you can do your own stuff, you're independent. Diba? A lot of it.
I think goes back to balancing sad siguro.
Yeah, but
naman to instance like there was this family member like sa third generation na, then I think na siya iyahang convictions pud politically that what he did, he actually used his company na marketing to actually make a statement on his political stances.
Mm.
And nahitabo na damay ang
Iyang company.
iyang company
corporation.
because of whatever convictions he stood for.
Mm.
And nadamay what his lolo started or what all his family members. So there can be those areas, tricky areas.
But hard.
But for him, maybe he thinks he's doing the right thing by standing up for whatever he believed. But by doing that, he was also selfish na daghan na igo sa iyang actions.
Yeah, I think case to case or
you have to be mindful of your actions. Na you can't
Yeah.
just be, this is what I stand for. I'm gonna do this. I have the resources. Pero naa say uban ba na madamay. So I think there's that balance again as I talk about idealism and pragmatism. No?
But that's difficult. Yeah, to maintain that.
There are areas in ana ba na lisod siya. Okay, daghan na sad na we talked about a lot.
Ikaw, you're in the car business. Were you fascinated by cars or dili?
I wasn't really a car guy. Still, I'm not very much a technical guy sa cars. Dili, actually. But like kana, that's an example. It's there. And I've also done some introspecting about my strengths and who I am. So I could align it sad ba with where I could thrive in terms of how I would contribute to the growth of the company.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's very broad man said. Like if you're not so much a numbers finance guy, you can be a marketing guy. If not, you can be with more on people oriented. There's HR, so murag daghan ra man jud og skill set na that can fit in certain departments. And for me, ang company, there's a huge responsibility man because you're responsible for livelihoods of people, and you can't just set that aside because many people also count on you, depend on you. So if decisions aren't made properly at this level, daghan sad madamay.
But if given a choice, like let's say someone can replace what you do, like there's very theoretical. Given the choice that he could replace what you do, is there anything else you want to pursue, or wala gyud like?
We've done certain things. Actually, that's happened naman sad kay karon we're in the phase of professionalizing. So
I mean you personally.
We've also delegated certain tasks na ba where we're taking a step back in terms of the operational aspect. So it's more professionally run. For me personally,
like what, start your own farm or you have a business startup or
I'm still weighing it. But of course, I sort of
podcasting, like
this is one example. Like I'm able to have this venture and still, of course, play my role. So it can work.
So aside from that,
ways.
like let's say nothing else like you want to pursue full time, or
I actually wanted to be like a psychologist before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also wanted to make movies before. Well, in a way, this is like a film. But I also wanted to pursue like creative stuff, like mga historical movies, maybe a documentary someday. Or even set up maybe a restaurant. Kaya I'm a foodie man sad. But it would require focus. So if I get into it, I'll really get into it. Dili lang na murag, I wanna try this, but I won't have the stamina to do it. So I'd rather not embark on it if I know at some point it's just gonna vanish. Like with this, it's easy for me, like this podcasting, because I'm in charge of my time with this. I don't have a schedule where I have to upload weekly. Murag ako ray magbuot ba. So murag it's workable and it's sustained now for like almost 3 years. So so I always think like, is it gonna work long term? And it's something I have to assess and deep dive. But like kana filmmaking maybe.
Never imagined.
Filmmaking or kana psychologist. Like I enjoy mga one-on-one talks man sad, analyzing, or maybe write a book someday, which is why I was also inspired by what you did with writing your book.
But I think it's just a culmination of everything I read and then me understanding more about the topic, and then I just felt like I had to put it down so I don't forget and to help other people. So
yeah, but for me, anything that will have an impact on others positively, to society, to the community, yeah, I'd be for it.
Okay. Do you fear failure or?
Not so much. Murag I would embrace it. Kay murag learning curve man sad na. Sa una, maybe sakit, or you'd think about it like katawaan ka if something fails. But
yeah, I'm actually surprised that you started this podcast.
But it's like I don't care man sad.
That's good.
Actually, I get some bashing from time to time, like, oh, why is the host so dry?
Okay.
Like but that's not, they don't understand it's not necessarily for them, it's not for entertainment. I'm not out to please an audience.
It's for anyone who wants to listen.
Yeah, it's for anyone who wants to listen. It's an outlet, and I wanna hear perspectives and different stories. So yeah, so it doesn't affect me.
That's good. Yeah, because I think that's what I maybe struggle with, like criticisms, and maybe I don't really handle it well.
Yeah. I used to get triggered easily with criticisms, but now you can just take a pause, absorb it, and sometimes there's value in those criticisms.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be exaggerated. You can filter that out.
Yeah, the exaggerated ones are okay, but like the critiques that are detailed and like
Asay ka nang i-misjudge na ka, or it's some ad hominem thing na lahi na ba. But you can ma-discern naman siya. So but I don't know what's in store on what field. Like the podcasting thing, I didn't expect it because I've always been shy, camera, I'm an introvert. I wasn't always expressive with my thoughts, even that stuff I post. So I wasn't vocal about anything.
Yeah, but I think that's good because it also opens up for people to join in the conversation, to put their ideas out there also, and for people to critique it also, and to
because I see people are just so preoccupied, especially now. The world is so fast-paced. Everyone's just after that promotion, or after that vacation, or that next travel, or that next bonus. Sometimes we don't have these
long-form conversations.
Long-form, substantive conversations. Even in dinner settings, it's always unsay latest news karon, or something trivial, could be like the hot topic, and the flow of the conversation just jumps around. Kini kana. So sometimes there's no clear aim ba, especially. But I understand, of course, the need for socializing, and of course maybe drinking occasionally, going out. That's a good outlet also.
But actually, I have personally these types of long form conversations with my wife and
that's good. You have
and
that
siblings
and that's
friends.
That's a good support system.
I think also during dinner table sometimes, but
Yeah.
you tend to walk away from the dining table when we eat together, diba?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I'm just not very much into the group thing. Unless I'm comfy with everyone, but I'm intuitive in a sense that if murag, I know it's not gonna go anywhere,
Mm.
but I could be wrong. So,
Mm.
but of course, there are dinner conversations that I engage, but maybe
Mm.
if I'm also comfortable with
Mm.
who's around. So maybe it depends on the closeness. But
Mm.
so yeah, it varies. But of course, there are deep conversations
Mm.
off cam, not necessarily like podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Uh, anything you wanna impart to whoever might be watching this, or
Mm.
message to society, or
Yeah, I think it's more of like I could
yeah, that's your cam.
repeat what Jordan Peterson or the
Responsibility.
Bible would talk about. It's about bearing the cross, saying yes to responsibilities, that life is suffering, and meaning is to be found there in those types of things. Profound joy is very different from fleeting happiness, and these profound joy are found only when you do hard things that mean that are also good. It doesn't necessarily just have to be hard, di ba?
Mhm.
So like one of those things is raising a child, watching after your marriage, yeah.
Being a good dad, being a
Yeah.
good son.
Yeah, and I think it's very intentional, like knowing that your strength does not come from within, that it comes from God, being dependent every day. Gratitude also. I think it's very easy to take things for granted. So yeah, like just being aware of the things that you have now is because God allowed it to happen in the first place. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and not taking things for granted.
Follow-up question. What sort of books do you read now? I know you're into Peterson.
I don't
Who
usually read,
else?
but I listen a lot sa mga
Podcasts,
podcast.
others.
So,
Like
yeah, katong Peterson,
Who do you listen
Sam
to?
Harris said,
Huberman, or silang... Who else is out there? Yeah, Shapiro, of course.
Shapiro, I've listened to Shapiro also. But now I'm into kana lagi kay mga anak na si Richie. So a lot of baby stuff also.
Preparing.
Yeah.
Of course.
So yeah, I know it's a controversial topic, but vaccines and baby health. Like there are notions that are accepted that I don't think should be. Yeah.
What's your take on the vaccine?
Which vaccines or?
In general.
Yeah, because I think dako gid kay na siya na spectrum, and that the moment people start listening to me saying or talking about a critique about a vaccine, they call me anti-vax dayon.
Actually, I also got that before, because actually I'm unvaccinated. With COVID, I'm talking about COVID, but I've received some vaccines, of course, flu and other things in the past. But I just opted not to get vaccinated, because for me, the body has, like you say, the immunity. You can work on that. And it turned out okay so far. Like, I never experienced any hard COVID symptoms.
Yeah, because with vaccines, so people should not take my word for it. They should do their own research, or if they want, listen to their doctors. But for me lang personally, when I read about vaccines or just a brief background on pathogens, kay ang virus kuno, it has a hard time killing the host. So as long as you're healthy, in a way. So people would point out ang Spanish flu diba, a lot of people died, like millions of people died, but there was there are some scientists that would theorize that it wasn't actually the flu that killed them. It was actually nagka-pneumonia ang mga tao, bacterial pneumonia. Bacteria, on the other hand, that those things can really kill you if not treated right away. So as people became healthier, like sanitation improved, our water systems improved, na natin refrigerator for our food, healthcare systems improved, I think that those things have a bigger impact on people sustaining the impacts of viruses. Yeah, because I think the chart for measles vaccines also states even before the vaccination rate, vaccination for measles, there was a steep decrease in mortality of measles. So if you look at the chart, it's going in ana siya. And then the vaccines were introduced this part. So regardless of that, there was a downward trend already sa measles, specifically in the vaccines. But then when you see they would cut out that part and ang makita lang is vaccines introduced and then the downward trend again. Yeah, so there's a lot of nuance when you want to look at vaccinations. But there are vaccinations, I think, that would benefit people.
Yeah. But certainly you'll need a lot of proper data, like accurate data to make certain conclusions.
Yeah. Pero ako lang specifically is the mga in regards to mga viruses. Because those things mutate, those things evolve. Diba? So whereas the flu, you would have yearly shots that you need because mo lahi-lahi man na sila mo mutate. COVID mutates at a faster rate than the influenza. But we're still using the same vaccines that we used 3 years ago or 4 years ago. So diba, at first they said take it so you don't get it, and then they changed to take it so you don't pass it on, and then apparently you can pass it on, so take it so you don't get any severe illness, and then now if you get severe illness they're saying take it, you need to take another shot, diba? So they're always moving that goalpost.
Yeah. Ako lang with the vaccines, I think it's good na ay vaccine, but of course I would want it to be really tested before it's really spread out there.
Yeah.
Maura jud ako, it's good na vaccines are developed, and if it's good for people, why not? But sometimes if it's a different narrative,
but I think
or
it's
a different agenda that's driving it, or like with the forced thing, like free choice dapat nindot na there's that option, but of course you have to weigh certain things. That's why the mandate thing, it's something I wrestled with ba? Like why is it mandated? But anyway, those were
scientific yun ang approach.
Those were very troubling times. But it's good now that we're at least past the pandemic now, and there's no more really tight restrictions and all that.
Yeah, but for me, going back, like older people, okay ra sila mo take because probably the side effects would take longer to appear on them before dili na nila ma-experience ang side effects ba. Yeah. So yeah, it was a weird time also, I think.
Okay. What about your running journey? I know you've done sub ones na. What's your usual pace na? Like 5:40?
Yeah, ingana. I wouldn't say I'm fast or anything. Kuwang, I think.
Kuwang.
I haven't been running enough. Not as much as si Miko.
Yeah. She's overtrained actually. Now that she's in this resting phase now.
Yeah, so could improve, could be better.
What about series or movies you're into lately, or restaurants, or lifestyle nimo karon? Like what's your usual routine now? And
karon,
maybe recommendations. Food or places, travels. Because you traveled recently, domestically and internationally.
Just general?
Yeah, general.
It's a lifestyle or a travel?
Both na.
Karon, I'm always, karon, it's, my life sort of revolves around my family. Yeah, and food, my wife would know that I am big into red meat. Yeah, I know doctors would say it's bad for you.
You're
people would
pro
say
red meat, so the steaks. Because I know you were
Yeah.
into that lion diet for a time.
Carnivore, yeah.
Not lion, the
Not-
one Michaela Peterson was advocating where
It's
it was all
similar, but I
beef
think
and salt.
lion is nose to tail, so a lot of organs also.
Carnivore diet.
Mm.
So, intestines.
Yeah. Because I know a controversial topic. Said kaya ng red meat because doctors would tell you to avoid it, diba? Or just have little of it.
I'm all for red meat also.
Mm.
Like, I can't give up steak siguro or all
Mm.
that protein.
So red meat is my favorite type of food. In regard to travel, I think South Africa was
Cape Town? Which one?
Cape Town and
Johannesburg.
Johannesburg. But just Cape Town is like my favorite place that we visited, siguro. In terms of the price and the value you get from it. Yeah, because like cultural aspect, like Africa, their music, their African sculptures or ilang art is different. It's very distinct also.
Mm.
And then their food, kay, it's not expensive bitaw. So they have a lot of steaks there also that are not so expensive.
Okay.
So kana, I think value for money and experience, I think South Africa would like be at the top. Ikaw, asa man imong best?
Best. Well, lately I went to Switzerland. A beautiful place.
Mahal lang, no?
Yeah, mahal.
And their food's not, I would say,
Not really great because
Yeah.
it's just the usual sausage, schnitzel, cordon bleu. But it's more of the place. Nindutan ko katong Lake Brienz. That was where Chloe was shot. That final scene with Hyun Bin in the piano. And Mount, ano sa to? Titlis ba to? Very nice mountain. Snowy. Pero top country, I can't point out pa exactly. But I've been to Europe quite a few times. And Asia, Nindotro said, of course, Korea, Japan. China, improving some parts. It's much cleaner now.
For culture-wise, unsa may imong favorite country that you appreciate their culture, you you appreciate their culture and fascinated ka by how they do things?
Siguro Japan because they're very efficient and murag hapsay lang jud in general, like orderly. Yeah. Okay.
I think also Japan, too much order. What do you think? Like they lack that.
Rigid rasad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I also deal with some Japanese in terms of business, and yeah, it's very fixed, but yeah, I see that. Okay, Sapa. Future ventures. Wala pa. How's your home automation?
It's good.
Because I know you're partners with Miles.
Yeah, he has been handling the operations. We automate gates, a lot of gates, and then condos. Yeah. It's been
Kusog na ron,
stable.
in terms of demand, of course. Is it
Yeah, but
going
also
up?
for that reason, daghan na sad like ni sprout up na companies that are into home automation. So
You have competitors na. Like,
yeah, but I think
piling up.
that's a good indication that the market is
Yeah.
getting more
Well, with more
developed or
competition, you'll
mature.
also have to step up. So
Yeah.
competition is good in that sense.
Yeah, it's a good sign that the market is maturing in that area.
What about like Netflix? You have time pa to watch series? and
Yeah, I
What's
do.
your like top series choices?
Wala man,
or
mga anime,
movies?
Demon Slayer.
I'm not so much an
Hindi kayo
anime
ka-anime.
person.
And also mga sports documentary. Yeah.
Like basket. Ball.
Katong Last Dance, and karon I'm watching I think about Florida University, lang Tim Tebow na class. Yeah, so a lot of, I like how they overcome adversity, mga na types of
Yeah,
documentary.
Okay.
Yeah, na nasa mga failures, and then they overcome it as a group, as a team.
Okay. All right. Naapa ba? Before we might wrap up.
Ikaw, do you want to talk about anything? Ang afterlife pa nimo, unsa man na siya?
I can't grasp it, but for me, murag, I don't really care man sad. I mean, but as long as, of course, peace and there's that relief in after.
Do you believe it
after
exists?
this.
Or?
I can't fully grasp it pa if unsa jud, but I guess there's some light at the end of that tunnel. Because
Would you rather have there be an afterlife or wala?
Sometimes wala because I don't like the accountability part. Pero, but I know it's also that gratification, that sense of growth and maturity. But yeah, I have those wrestling, struggling times where I just murag kapoy pero di sa kakalikay na bisag kapoy
Kay base na
kay need man gyapon iatubang. So kana there's all that irony. What about sa kanang mga atheist debates? Have you read up mga works nilang Hitchens and
Listen lang.
only Harris?
Yeah.
Kasi Hitchens more of kuan man jud iya, like he views God as
Hinimo.
diba celestial dictatorship, man-made, or but he has good points attacking religion.
Yeah.
But per may na niya balikon celestial dictatorship, celestial North Korea. So he views God as this kanang vain narcissist na
Have to worship him.
na worship
or
me
else.
or else. And yeah, some like I checked Dan Barker. Okay said. Peter Hitchens ang igsuon is actually for God. I mean, mas pro kuan siya, theism siya perspective.
Because I think I've meddled in atheism also a bit sa college, but murag
It's
It's
was
hard
just
to stick.
yeah.
Murag
There's
I
just
can't,
too much to life na it can't just be that.
Yeah, murag it's really seems like by design yun ang atong genetic
Yeah.
makeup, our existence here on Earth, how the Earth is positioned, like and then gamay nga deviation from those things would kill all
Yeah,
existence on Earth or not make it exist in the first place. So maragalisod ko grasp ana, and also the fact that where would you get morality from if you can't get it from the world of facts again. So kana lisod.
Yeah. I also wrestled with that but yeah, I think morality is derived from the creator or whatever started this thing, this whole existence. Pero ang religion lang, that's the thing. It's the whole ideology thing of lain-lain tag approach, belief system, how we live.
Yeah.
Like there can be a moral person, non-believer in that sense, but he lives a good life. Like he takes on responsibility. He intact iyahang whatever, and there's leveling up in his character. Then there are these like really God figures, but then they abuse their power or their lives are so opposite from or what what they preach and so it becomes this misguided righteousness na murag they're enlightened, they know the way, and there's this condescending attitude towards the ones who aren't enlightened. So that's one example si Gandhi, like he lived a somewhat he did some he went through some hardships ba, sa young life, and he would say like he's an example of someone who took responsibility, made an impact to others. But it wasn't necessarily from some religion or kana. And there are these figures who have misused religion. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, for sure. I think dogma could be.
like there's some agenda na ba, like some organized institution. It's
Yeah.
someone calling the shots that.
Yeah, I think human nature is prone to corruption.
And
with
it
that.
really comes out. The corruption is there. It's the same. It's like how corporations are run, except the product is hope or something na mas kuan pa kay laway rang puhunan, di ba? It's just some charismatic figure who's like luring people.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's why Jesus was a very important figure in his story that I think a lot of people take for granted, that it kind of shows us how he dealt with evil. Diba? Like imagine a sinless person being crucified voluntarily.
Yeah, the whole voluntary suffering.
Yeah, and I think people take it for granted, and a lot of things that we have now, we take for granted. Like people would say Christianity encouraged slavery also.
Yeah, it can be misconstrued.
Yeah, and like going back there, like if you were born, I think I would imagine if I was born in that time, and then I wasn't from a rich family, I could only hope being, let's say, being part of a family that takes care of the slaves, diba? Like sa Christianity, the slaves, the masters are held accountable also by how they treat their slaves, because God will hold them accountable also. So like even at that time where slaves existed, there was accountability involved. And I think people sort of underestimate the fact that life was very different from before compared to now. Bitaw. Yeah. So like what we learned over the years had to happen, or it took that long good for us to develop this type to say that slavery was wrong. Diba?
Yeah, it took very
it took
long.
a civil war. It took people's lives for us to realize it's wrong. But the fact that it happened in the past does not discount that God was still in control of the situation. Yeah.
Okay. But going back to like organized institutions, we mentioned corruption. Pero it becomes something else ba? Like there's a different agenda, and somehow it's being professed in the name of something, pero lahi dito. Like it's just some
deception.
Like some person just deciding, and people are really lured into that. So I think there are dangers to that. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, basically collective ego. That's usually the case.
Yeah, pride also.
And Christianity is watered down in a sense that you just comply, abide, the whole Sunday thing. Yeah, marag kuan. Lisod siya.
It has to be intentional.
And it's just like cliche na ba? It's just there. You're just there to share stories and feel good. And actually some treat it to make connections, and it's utilized as like a social club. In a way, you're just out there to meet people for other purposes. But there are misuses ba? Na misuse.
Yeah, but I could say there are people also that I have friends that are really active in church, and I would say
they're good actors in the faith. Yeah, mao na. But it's very diversified considering how each of us are unique, how we process. Lahi tag way of grasping, lahi tag wiring. So, like example, Miko's experience is very different from even your experience. How you perceive the faith, perceive the belief. Yeah.
Ikaw, have you had any encounter?
In the supernatural sense, wala. Which is why my view on playing my part is, of course, taking in responsibility and doing the right thing, discerning what's the right thing to do. That's my way of doing God's will, by assessing what's right. Yeah, so it's more of a more realistic approach. So, kana. That was always my view of God, na murag the creator, but the personal, supernatural aspect, how much intervening he actually does. I think he does intervene with certain events, but murag, I can't connect it pa. Like some will say, diba, oh, grace, I almost met an accident, but I didn't. That was grace.
Okay, yeah.
This miracle happened. But then you also see a tsunami where
killed people.
People are just wiped out. Or 9/11, for example, where people are just wiped out. So where's the grace there? And
you have people interpreting coincidences as an act of God also, or something like that. Or mistaking things as supernatural, maski dili.
Or I mean, like an event occurs, but let's say nalutsan or wala unsa, as opposed to kining really tragic event happened, and it was really sad, or it was very destructive. So when does he actually intervene? Right. Or did that person who prayed but namatay gapon, or it turned out very badly, where was his prayer there? So it's very raglisod ba? Like,
yeah, like if good things happen, God is good. If bad things happen, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, if good things happen, praise God. If bad things happen, maybe he moves mysteriously. You just need to, maybe it was your way of growing or accepting. So those things, it's like lisuds, yeah, for me. But I know there's something beyond. I know there's something to look forward to.
Yeah, but I think if we move away from the transactional mindset that, or treat God like as a genie.
Yeah, it's usually like the genie form.
We would be more adapted to God gives and takes away, like everything belongs to God. So just maybe, finding peace that He's in control.
Yeah, that's how it was characterized when, even as kids, diba? Heaven, hell, fear, and He's this genie, answered prayer, oh, you're blessed because you get these things, good things happen.
Probably when we were taught that, those that were teaching, or like me in Sunday schools before, that they were doing a favor to us by explaining it that way in which we can understand. But
very much surface how it's explained.
Yeah.
Okay, so but basically still a lot to decipher and fathom, and as we navigate this journey. Okay, I think we talked a lot today, so I thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and maybe a part 2, part 3 in the future, who knows? Or even off camera, we can talk more, even at home, or grab some dinner someday. We'll never know.
Yeah, makita ron dabarme.
Yeah. Now lately, wala kayo, but we'll have those gatherings where we have encounters. So thank you also for your insights, and thank you for your many inputs na dili sad cliche, because I know when you speak also, you don't just throw around things lightly. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So thank you, and
Thanks
I
for
hope
having
you
me.
took something today.